Good evening and welcome to the beginning of the 2023-2024 Women's Health Awareness Season and tonight's Women's Health Awareness virtual series, Real Talk with the Experts. We are excited as this year we are celebrating 10 years of addressing environmental health disparities, creating community change, and providing service to you for our community. I'm Dr. Packenham, Chair of the Women's Health Awareness Steering Committee. So on behalf of the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, the Women's Health Awareness Steering Committee, and our co-sponsors, the Durham Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and North Carolina Central University, we are happy to have each of you join us this afternoon and exciting to bring you this important program. In our 2023 Women's Health Awareness evaluations concerning health topics of interest, domestic violence rose to the top as an important topic of interest for our participants. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So tonight, our first webinar for this Women's Health Awareness season is on overcoming domestic violence, understanding the impact while navigating the system. Intimate partner violence is connected with our social environment and is a public health problem in the U.S. and can have lifelong impacts on overall health, both mental, emotional, and physical, and well-being on individuals and families. Here are just a few facts. In 2016-2017, CDC Violence Prevention Survey revealed that 47.3% of women report some form of domestic violence during their lifetimes. During the pandemic, domestic violence increased by 8.1% in the US. And as it relates to maternal mortality, more pregnant women and postpartum women are more likely to die more frequently from homicide as a result of partner violence. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So our first webinar for this season, as I said before, is overcoming domestic violence, understanding the impact while navigating the legal system. This slide quickly highlights our agenda for this evening. Our session objectives are to understand the power and control wheel as a tool for understanding the tactics abusers employ, observe the effects of domestic violence, assess the opportunities we all have to help, and learn how to navigate the legal system. Our webinar speaker is Mr. Talley. We will then have conclusion, domestic or intimate partner violence resources, October evaluation, the Women's Health Awareness 2024 event, and our November webinar. So just a few quick webinar reminders. This session will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Closed captioning services are available throughout this webinar. Evaluations will be sent immediately after webinar through email. Please make sure you are muted. Please note that for completing the webinar and evaluation, you will receive educational contact credit hours for your participation. A few webinar housekeeping details. The Zoom QA or question and answer is located at the bottom of your Zoom window when it is full size. This is important as your window has to be full size to access the Q&A function. Use the Q&A function for this session if you have questions. During the Q&A section, use the Q&A icon to click open the question box, type your question in the box, and hit enter. If you would like to send your question anonymously, please be sure to check the Send Anonymous box to conceal your name. Mr. Talley comes to us from Jackson, Tennessee, and has over a decade of social and human services experience, ranging from youth development, affordable housing, crisis service. Damian has served as a lead social services coordinator for Urban Housing Solution in Nashville, where he worked closely with community partners to break down social services silos to provide necessary wraparound services to formerly homeless individuals to assist them in obtaining and maintaining housing. He has served as Vice President of Domestic Violence Services for the YWCA of Nashville and Middle Tennessee Weaver Domestic Violence Center, which is the largest domestic shelter in the state of Tennessee. There, he helped navigate the vital services provided through the COVID-19 pandemic and oversaw the expansion of services to include implementation of a family service program and the introduction of the only pet shelter for domestic violence survivors in the region. Most recently, he has served as the Chief Program Officer for Friends of Youth in Kirkland, Washington. He is a two-time HBCU graduate, having earned his undergraduate degree in sociology from Lane College and a Master of Education degree in instructional leadership from Tennessee State University. He is a founding board member of True You Tennessee, a nonprofit organization focused on LGBTQ plus youth. He also served as the vice chair of the Smyrna Arts Commission. He is married to Shantia Brown Talley, and they have 5 children and 1 grandchild. Tonight, it is indeed a pleasure and an honor for me to introduce you to Mr. Talley. Mr. Talley, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. P. I appreciate that introduction. You took some of my facts and statistics and whatnot. I almost left the whole conversation. And good afternoon or good evening to you all. I've been here all day. I apologize. Good evening to you all. Thank you all for joining us for this vital discussion. As Dr. P stated, my name is Damian Talley. I am currently the Executive Director for the Durham Crisis Response Center here in Durham, North Carolina, where we serve as the sole agency dedicated to providing domestic violence and sexual assault services, including shelter, advocacy, and case management in the region, in Durham. Tonight, we're going to talk through understanding domestic violence. As Dr. B stated, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic violence cases, homicides are on the rise all over the country, including Durham. So I'm hopeful that this information will be impactful, resourceful, and give a better understanding of the circumstances that we're all dealing with. Go to my presentation. Did I share my screen? Can y'all share my screen? No, I'm sorry.
There it is.
All right. The title is Domestic Violence 101, Overcoming Domestic Violence, Understanding the Impact and Tactics. Now, while we will, during the Q&A portion, discuss if asked about our legal resources, I want to make clear that the Durham Crisis Response Center does not necessarily provide legal advice to our clients. We do help navigate them through the court process and file domestic violence and sexual assault protective orders. And we can talk through what that looks like. Okay. In this, the agenda for this presentation is going through some domestic violence statistics, but also domestic violence definitions and tactics so that y'all can have a better understanding of the full wheelhouse of all that pertains to DV. And also finally, recognizing DV in your friends and your current situations. Some domestic violence statistics. Domestic violence and sexual assault are pervasive, life-threatening, affecting millions of individuals across our nation, regardless of age. Domestic violence doesn't care about what your affiliations are, who you know. It attacks all individuals, regardless of social standing, no matter what the circumstances are. As Dr. P stated earlier, because she took some of my statistics, more than 1 in 4 women have experienced rape, physical violence, and stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Nearly 8 million women each year are raped, physically assaulted, and stalked by a partner, a current or former intimate partner. Nationwide, DV is a public health crisis, and an average of 3 women are killed every day by a current or former partner. Marginalized communities, such as the LGBTQIA+ community, women of color, people of color, immigrants, all are impacted by domestic violence at a disproportionate rate. Marginalized communities are more likely to experience abuse due to societal stress on the communities such as immigrants, people of color, and QI. Now, domestic violence is defined. Domestic violence is a pattern of abuse in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. This is important because oftentimes we get confused and imagine that DV is one particular type of way. This has to do with a man or a woman or 2 intimate partners, when this could be any relationships, roommates, friends, a grandmother and their grandson, a son and their man and their daughter. Any relationship where a partner is using their abusive power or abusive behavior to maintain or abuse power and control over their partner is considered domestic violence. Domestic violence can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, psychological, technological, or technological actions or threats of actions or other patterns of coercive behavior that influence another person within an intimate partner relationship. Again, this is important because oftentimes we look at domestic violence one way. We most likely think of the physical attributes. When we think about the financial control that individuals suffer through, the emotional stresses that individuals go through. All of those items can be defined and included in the definition of domestic violence, and we want to make sure that we're all aware of those. This includes behaviors that intimidate, manipulate, humiliate, frighten, terrorize, coerce, threaten, blame, hurt, injure, or wound someone. Also known as family violence, intimate partner violence, or dating violence. Here, we have the power and control wheel. This is a resource that we use to identify what domestic violence is. And we use this to explain plainly to individuals who call our crisis line or seek support so that we can clearly outline what they're going through and how their issues are connected specifically to domestic violence. We use this tool specifically. And this defines the power and control wheel, but also shows that DV is a pattern of control using the following tools: isolation, emotional abuse, intimidation, coercion and threats, economic abuse, using privilege, using children. In this section, we discover and go over abuser tactics. An important tactic that many abusers utilize is gaslighting. Gaslighting is the subjective experience in which the subjective experience in which individuals' perception of reality is repeatedly undermined or questioned by another person. Also, DARVO, which is deny, attacked, reverse victim, and offender. I have a short video that will clearly outline and show an example of what gaslighting looks like. Alex, could you pull that up? Do I need to stop sharing?
It is important to learn to recognize abuse and manipulation. Now, there's actually a type of manipulation called gaslighting. And what gaslighting is, it comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, starring Ingrid Bergman. And it's about a woman who is manipulated by her husband into believing that she is going crazy. We come to find out the husband is actually just using the marriage in order to find something valuable that belongs to her. But she believes she's going crazy because he was rifling through the attic at night. And what happened in those days is if you turned on a light in one room, it would dim all the other lights throughout the house because there was only a certain amount of gas that could light the whole house. And so you knew somebody else was in the house in another room turning on the light if you saw the lights flicker. And so she noticed that the lights would flicker every night after her husband had gone away somewhere, supposedly maybe to see friends or whatnot. He was actually going to the attic. But he convinces her that what she's seeing is not true. She's imagining that the gaslight is going down, when in reality she knows better, but she believes him. And so that's what it means to gaslight somebody, is to convince them to deny their own reality. So gaslighting from an abuser makes a victim doubt their own instincts and sense of reality.
Thank you, Alex. Now, as we move forward, in the question and answer portion, there's two things I want y'all to consider. What things stick out to you as abuse that have been normalized? Admittedly, for me, gaslighting was a thing that I didn't even think existed when I was younger. It was something that I thought was made up. And because I ignored it, it's something that we normalized as this isn't a real thing. You're not being gaslit. This is not something. And when we do that, it becomes normalized and just accepted. Another thing I'd like to consider are name some forms of abuse that you don't see on the power and control wheel, that you didn't see on the power and control wheel.
Mr. Talley, your slides.
Oh, am I not showing? I'm sorry.
Perfect. Thank
I apologize. Also, Gaslight is a really good movie. I like old movies. Gaslight is an actual awesome film. Check it out. But again, I'd like for you to consider what sticks out to you as abuse that has been normalized, and name some forms of abuse in the question and answer section that are not on the power and control wheel that we saw earlier. This kind of highlights who is impacted by and who is affected by domestic violence. In terms of perpetrators, who can be a perpetrator of domestic violence? An individual of any gender, any race, any age of responsibility, any orientation, any socioeconomic class, any education level, any faith, any ability, any occupation. And for victims, the same. Domestic violence is insidious in a way that no matter who you are, where you come from, it can impact, and most likely does impact, someone you know. These are the risk factors and protective factors in relationships. Risk factors in relationships are parents with less than a high school education, witnessing violence between parents as a child, history of experiencing poor parenting as a child, history of experiencing physical discipline as a child, the community factors, communities with high rates of poverty and limited educational and economic opportunities, communities with high unemployment rates, communities with high rates of violence and crime, communities where neighbors don't know or look out for each other, and there's a low community involvement among its residents. Protective factors, things that look to avoid domestic violence. Strong social support networks and stable and positive relationship with others. The community factors, neighborhood collective efficacy, meaning residents feel connected to one another and are involved in the community. Coordination among resources and services and among community agencies. Communities with access to safe and stable housing. Communities with access to medical care and mental health services. Communities with access to economic and financial help. All of those will be included in protective factors of what your neighborhood void or diminished of domestic violence would look like. Summarize. Domestic violence is a health crisis in the United States and North Carolina. Domestic violence is a pattern of control that does not have to be physical to be effective and damaging. Anyone can be a perpetrator and anyone can be a victim. Domestic violence can be prevented by community protective factors. Ask for questions, but we'll get to that in a second. The Durham Crisis Response Center offers a 24-hour helpline for any individual experiencing or any individual that you know of that may be experiencing domestic violence. We offer bilingual staff who answer the crisis line 24/7 or utilization of our translation service. We offer case management, counseling, access to legal advocacy support, in which our legal advocates assist with domestic violence protective orders, as well as court accompaniment. The Durham Family Justice Center, which houses all of Durham Crisis Centers, Durham Crisis Response Center Services, is located at 101 East Morgan Street, Durham, North Carolina, 27701. Our phone number to the Family Justice Center is 984-201-7305. Our crisis line is 919-403-6562. To learn more about our services, you can go to our website at www.thedcrc.org. I gotta add that on there, I apologize. Now we'll go to questions. Any questions? Dr. P?
So the first question that I have is how can victims prove psychological abuse, as that seems to be the most common form of abuse?
I think it's first, I think what's important to recognize is that it's a lot simpler than people realize. And that if that is a form of abuse that you are experiencing, that you will be believed. It's about connecting with the right entities, like the Durham Crisis Response Center and our counselors. Forms of evidence could be written evidence, if there's text messages involved, things of that nature, notes that are left, smartphone footage, also witness testimony. If you have a friend who also, or relatives who are witness to these circumstances that you're experiencing and they're willing to come forward. All of those things are evidence of the abuse that you're going through.
From the Q&A section, What can communities do to help the justice system catch up with new data regarding domestic violence?
Uh, I think staying on them and making sure that that sounds like that staying on them.
What do
Also
you mean by staying on them?
I think voting. I'm voting and making sure the right people are taking domestic violence seriously, allocating the right resources, the necessary resources to impact the change. And I know in Nashville, there was a specific domestic violence courts, and that in many ways changed the game. One of the things that we're experiencing here in Durham is a lack of those resources and those opportunities that needs to be adjusted. But beyond that, um, also just opportunities like this where we can talk about the statistics, the realities of it, so that those people are aware. They work for you, and you providing them with the necessary information and the demands of you to support your community and support individuals experiencing domestic violence is key to that. So having discussions like we're having this evening is vital in that regard. Breaking down those stigmas, not victim blaming people, and letting people know that they can come to you. That helps people catch up. The more people that come forward with these cases puts pressure on the necessary individuals to address the circumstances that people are dealing with.
Address stigma just a little bit more.
I'm Black. I think it's for me, stigma is we have stigmas that kind of keep things in a box. We don't talk about things outside the home. That's something that's happening over there. We mind our own business. We have to get past that in order to break this situation open. We have to encourage people if they're in a situation, give them safe avenues to reach out and seek support, like that the Durham Crisis Response Center, Light Plug. We have to create safe spaces for people who are going through this circumstance where, again, we're not victim blaming. Oftentimes we ask people why they don't leave these situations. It's just that simple without understanding the full realities of we're dealing with people who are in love with these individuals. There's also their financial resources may be limited. So when I talk about stigma, I'm talking about the things that keep us from addressing the realities of domestic violence, even though we know it's real.
Yes. How do adverse childhood events, so ACE scores, impact behavior in children? And how can school personnel support children of domestic violence?
ACE scores, well, ACEs negatively affect children's brain development, immune systems, and their stress response systems. 5.5 million kids a year witness or experience domestic violence in the United States. Those children who are experiencing that are seeing and being impacted in ways that we can see and not see. And those ACEs impact how they develop, how they go out through the world, how they see relationships moving forward. As we discussed earlier in the slide, one of the risk factors is witnessing domestic violence as a young person. Also, physical abuse on children. Me, myself, I don't spank my kids, and there's a reason for that. Those dynamics stimulate youth in ways that we don't understand fully. So that's the impact. They're impacted negatively by their development, their brain development, their immune systems. Children are sick, they're broken, and we don't want to do that to our youth. How we can support those, would you repeat the second piece of the question? I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
Sure. How can school personnel support children of domestic violence?
The important thing is making sure that those children know that they have a safe place to come to. It's always important to make sure that children can know that they can come and talk to you. It's important that children know that they have more than their parents to come, and that there's a safe space for them outside of the home where the abuse may be taking place. It's always important that we're not judging those youth, that they know that they're not responsible for those circumstances, and that we're reinforcing that understanding to them so that they feel more comfortable coming forward and addressing their circumstances. Also, having staff trained in safety planning so that they know if this is happening, if those child is willing to come to you and tell you what their circumstances are, that we're safety planning with them. And a safety plan is basically just a well outlined plan for keeping them safe in their circumstances. And yeah, those are things that teachers, that schools can do directly, but also allocation of resources. I know that's a broader discussion, especially given all the cutbacks to schools over the years, but you know, that's just the reality of it. You need
So
to
what about school personnel recognizing warning signs of a child that is going through domestic abuse? I mean, how do you handle that? What are the
Absolutely.
warning signs? How do school personnel learn what warning signs may look like?
By inviting Damian Talley, the executive director of the Durham Crisis Response Center, to the schools so that we may talk through what those warning signs look like. But of course, there's the physical components of like bruises, markings, things of that nature, isolated behaviors, kids who are unusually sick, because like I said, those ACEs impact their immune responses, all of that on a regular basis. So those are signs to be looking out for when you see a youth that's kind of, like, it seems like they're going through it. Just being aware of those and being willing to take action, and being able to present them that this is a safe space. You can talk to me, and that takes training, that takes time, that takes investment. So,
So how far back can you take an abuser to court when you can prove psychological abuse?
that may be a I'm not necessarily sure in that regard. It varies from state to state. So I don't want to say like one thing here. It varies from state to state. I know you can, I would encourage you to always seek out support, call our crisis line, and we will work through it with you to try to identify what are guidelines in the state of North Carolina on. But I'd be wrong to tell you what an overarching legal analysis of how far you can go back on that case.
So you are advising them to just call the your hotline
Mhm.
so
Or
that you
call,
can work with them, work through their thought processes. Okay.
Right. Absolutely. And also contact North Carolina Legal Aid, which is a partner that we, a community partner of ours at the Durham Family Justice Center.
Okay.
When we call the crisis line, we can get them connected to North Carolina. We can refer them over to them if they have a legal question like that. So again, Durham Crisis Response Center does not provide legal advice.
Yes. Okay. Most legislation that affect victims of domestic violence is on the local and state level. What current federal legislation exists that support victims of domestic violence?
The Violence Against Women Act, which was written by our current president, Joe Biden, is the primary law overseeing domestic violence services and funds. It's a landmark law that kind of is being used as a political football right now, but that's the federal legislation that's kind of overwhelmingly supports funds parts of the Durham Family Justice Center, Durham Crisis Response Center overall, and things of that nature.
What specific resources does DCRC have for LGBT plus victims?
Our staff is continually being trained on how to interact and engage with individuals of the LGBTQI plus community. We're working to build relationships with community partners like the LGBTQ Center of Durham. Um, and we offer specific trainings ourselves to just keep us updated on the latest trends on how to respond to circumstances, how to provide those resources. Everything that we offer here at Durham at the Durham Crisis Response Center is available to every individual in the community, regardless of gender, identity, sexual orientation. So everything that all the resources that we have are for the members of the LGBTQ community.
Thank you. How do I help a close loved one who is in a domestic violence situation? How do I support the abused adult?
Well, I think the first step is by believing them, being that resource for them, being a person that they can come to and talk to their circumstances, being non-judgmental. A lot of times, like I said, individuals accidentally victim blame. We tend to think of these circumstances as easy. Like, oh, he hit you, just leave. Like, what are you doing? But oftentimes it's not that easy. And it's important that we recognize that. There's a lot of factors involved. Being up to date on the latest trends yourself, so that if someone does come to you, you're able to give them the necessary information so that they can make the correct choices for themselves. Not trying to get frustrated with them for not making choices that you would make in that particular circumstance. Overall, the biggest thing is just being a support to them. Whatever you can do, if you are willing to do it, just do it. If they're saying, if somebody says, I want to leave, I just don't know where to go. They don't want to necessarily go into shelter, and you have a couch that they can sleep on. Being that resource for them would change the game for them. Getting them connected to the Durham Crisis Response Center is also
Okay.
key.
Yes. You know, a lot of people are embarrassed to come to you and reach out and ask for help. So they may not, want to ask you, can they come to your home? Would you then offer like them a hotel stay or somewhere they can go? So
Yes, depending on, now we do have limited funds, but depending on the circumstances and the severity of the issue at hand, if necessary, then yes, we can allocate certain funds to hotel stays. Might not be long term, but absolutely. We also work with local law enforcement, including the Sheriff's Department and the Durham Police Department, to implement the LAP program. The LAP program is the lethality assessment protocol, where when law enforcement is called out to domestic violence calls or issues, which, by the way, are the most made calls to law enforcement by far in every city in the country. But when they come out to those calls, they ask the individuals a specific set of 11 questions. And based on their answers, they determine if they are a highly lethal or likely highly lethal situation. That way they get directly connected to us. We can make the determination to put them in a hotel for the night if they don't have anywhere safe to go that evening, or into our shelter if we have shelter space.
Okay. So that brings to this next question in the chat box. What can we do to keep domestic violence individuals from being near death or killed before law enforcement becomes seriously involved? Do we need a change in laws?
We absolutely need a change in laws. I don't want to make it overly political, but we'd absolutely need a change in laws. We need a change in our gun laws. The domestic violence victims need to be able to file protective orders, and we need red flag laws. If there is a documented case then the perpetrator needs to lose legal access to firearms in order to help mitigate those circumstances. If domestic violence is occurring in the home or in wherever it's occurring, the presence of a gun increases the likelihood of a homicide by over 500%. That's just the reality. The protective orders need to be stronger, and the police need more leeway in enforcing domestic violence protective orders. Unless a DVPO is enforced effectively, then it's just a piece of paper. So unless we give our law enforcement, and I say that as lightly as I can, unless we give law enforcement the leeway to actually enforce domestic violence protective orders like they should, then individuals will get them, have the legal say-so saying, hey, you're not supposed to be here, but unless they're being enforced, then that's potential homicides that need to change. So absolutely, just to summarize, yes, that there's a need in a change of laws or an adjustment to our laws. There's a lot of laws already on the books that just need to be enforced and strengthened.
So, but I remember in one of the earlier questions, you kind of hinted that Durham could beef up its laws as it relates to domestic violence. You know, like Durham is behind some other cities around the country as it relates to domestic violence, guidance, laws, protection, etc. So how can, individuals or groups rally to advocate to have better laws as it relates to domestic violence here in the Bull City? Just asking.
You've been on my pulpit. Like I said, it's voting season, and voices need to be heard. That needs to be a question that we demand answered by everyone running for mayor, everyone running for city council, everyone running for state representative, everyone running for state senator. What are you going to do about this particular circumstance? What are you going to do about strengthening gun laws? What are you going to do about strengthening what we currently have on the books? How are you going to address the gaps where they are? That's something that we need to demand, and actually turning out to the polls. I'm going to get on my soapbox, but looking at the returns from the primary results, it was a very low voter turnout in comparison to the individuals eligible to vote in Durham. In order to make the change, you actually have to be a part of the change and demand the change that you wish to see.
Absolutely. So how can the Durham Crisis and Response Center rally up the troops?
Well, I'm doing that every day. That's how I'm here with y'all talking today, telling you to what to look out for, what needs to happen. My goal is to, as the executive director, is to be out and trying to encourage people as gently as I possibly can and as forcefully as necessary to do what's necessary to address the scourge of domestic and sexual assault violence in our community.
Yes, but you're right. It's the perfect time to ask the questions to the people who are running for office at this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the general, yes.
And my intention fully is to go and talk to both individuals. Mr. Woodard has been to the Durham Crisis Response Center, and we talked to him about our issues. I'm intending to talk to Leo as well. And I encourage each of you to go out and talk to the individuals who are knocking on your doors and asking you to vote for them. And what are you going to do about this? How would you address this? That needs to be top of mind. I'd encourage everybody on this call to do this.
Thank you. How can employers support victims of domestic violence?
I think adding that to the list of benefits that we offer when we can, when finances allow us to. One of the things that I'm looking to here that I haven't been able to as of yet, but I've only been here for 8 months, is looking to include that off paid time off for domestic violence, individuals experiencing domestic violence. So just instituting those rules, instituting flexibility when staff is coming forward with their circumstance, taking it seriously, working with your staff who is experiencing the circumstance as best as you possibly can. I mean, you can't do everything, but I think as an employer, for me, it's especially in this role, if one of my staff people came to me acknowledging that they're going through the circumstance, first it'll look terrible if I'm like, nah, you still got to come in here. I don't care what's going on. But it's just imperative that I take seriously the circumstance and do what I can to support this individual so that they can be out of that and into safety and back to work soon. So we can continue the work that we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How can families of domestic violence increase resiliency?
I think having these challenging conversations, again, oftentimes we get in these situations where we want to kind of sweep things under the rug and whatnot and not acknowledge them. But it really does take acknowledging and talking through and supporting people through their circumstances, not just letting stuff slide because that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's auntie over there. Like that's them. Providing them with the support and resources that they need so that one, they can be aware, two, they have the resources to actually leave a situation when they're ready, but not ignoring and not acting like it's, and not trying to keep it in the family. It's like, that's so-and-so, we don't talk about that outside the house. We keep that in the, that's going on with them.
Yeah, a lot of times we have that, what is that saying? What goes on in this house stays in this house.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the time when
should definitely not go on in any house.
Right.
Domestic violence shouldn't go on in any house.
That's right. So there is a time when people need to reach out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a loved one in a domestic violence situation and have considered numerous times calling social services to support the children, but haven't. Is there guidance on how to support children who live daily in this environment?
I think it's imperative that it's a delicate situation. So I think you have to recognize, and I appreciate the hesitancy in taking any action without thinking it through. And I appreciate the question. The hesitancy should come from, you don't know how he'll or they'll react to that circumstance. Social services coming through the house to check on somebody. And that may be why the abused themselves hasn't done so. So it's just being aware of those circumstances. If you do have a legitimate concern, then it's best to call our, and I'm not trying to plug us, but call our crisis line so that we can get a better understanding of the circumstances and help you safety plan, not just for yourself, but help you safety plan how you would address that particular circumstance. Every situation is different and we need to flesh out all the details. But in terms of that family, especially if you still have contact with that child, like I said earlier, making sure that you're a resource to them, that they know they can come to you, that they can talk to you, helping that child safety plan, and getting as many details as you possibly can to help them keep themselves safe, letting the child recognize that their safety has to be first, so that they don't put themselves in that. Because my mom was a survivor of domestic violence. I know there are plenty of circumstances where I threw myself into situations, and it wasn't always the best decision on my end, but I felt like I had to. important to let those children know that they don't have to and that they have to keep themselves safe in those circumstances. And just really being that support so that for them and their parent that's being abused so that they can come out of it when they're ready. And understanding that as frustrating as it is and can be sometimes, oftentimes it takes people 7 to 12 times to fully leave and completely leave a DV relationship. So, you know, you may have talked to this person 5 times and they each time like, yeah, I'm gonna leave this time and gone back. That's the cycle of abuse that we have to deal with.
Right. That brings us, I want to thank you for your personal sharing, but we have to piggyback on that, I have a question here. What is the most effective way to shift the mindset of someone who is convinced they must stay with the abuser?
I think the biggest defense for that is just information. Just giving, and it gets frustrating because I understand. I want to be real with you. I understand that the idea is just like you want to just take folks and shake them. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. This is not something you have to. You don't have to accept this. And I understand that can be frustrating. But really, being that soft resource for people, that's what changes the game for people. If I train my advocates and my staff to get on the phone and just tell people, you don't got to do this. You can leave at any time. You know, just call us. We'll get you a room. That wouldn't be effective. Like people would hang up our phones. We would see skyrocket homicide rates most likely. But the fact that people can call our hotline, not be judged, not be not us trying to coerce them into what we think they should do, but helping them process through what options they do have. And being ready with that information, that's what moves people along that spectrum. So the best thing to do is really as frustrating as, and I know, I understand totally, is to really give them as much access to information as they can so that they know. I mean, I hear you going through this and whatnot. I know you want to stay. That just doesn't, for me, I feel like that's a dangerous situation for you. And I think this is a resource that I'd like you to look into, or here's some information that I found out about. Here's somebody that you can talk to if you don't want to talk to me, or if you ever did feel like you wanted to leave, here's a number you can call. Flooding people with that information and support, that's what moves things along. And you have the amount of time that people will recognize just from that calm conversation, that's what changes them. I feel like I rambled there. I apologize.
No. What about the financial resources? A person may think that they can't leave because then they don't have the financial resources to support themselves or their children. So they don't have the financial resources and, they don't, so therefore they don't feel like they can get out of that situation.
I think that's, again, where flooding them with that information goes, because all of our services at DCRC are free. We don't charge you for hotels. We don't charge you to stay at our shelter, and all things are confidential. So if people are aware that and if our shelter is full, if we don't have the capacity to put you in a hotel that evening, we work diligently to get you connected to other resources in the community to move you along the spec. So if we just absolutely can't do anything here, we might call Orange County Rape Crisis Center, or we may call Compass Center. We may call Interact to see where we can help you get to, and we'll work with you. That's why I pay people to do just that. But if people aren't aware that, I can call them, they're not going to charge me for this. Okay, I'll call. I'll reach out. But if they don't know,
you have some financial resources for people so that they can get on their feet. Can you tell us? Interact.
I'm not just giving out checks or nothing like that. I'm saying.
Understood. You're not giving out checks, but that they have some resources that they can, financial resources.
We have limited financial resources where we, if necessary, we help with transportation. Like if we need to transport you to a neighboring shelter or something like that, because we don't have space. Depending on the circumstances, we can take care of those things. If depending on the severity of the circumstance, like if it's a lethality assessment protocol call, then we can possibly put you in a hotel for the evening, or maybe an evening or two, depending on the circumstances. But you don't know unless you know. So people have to be aware of those resources.
Absolutely. And I wanted to let you know that you were not rambling, that someone said that was a phenomenal answer. So helpful and powerful, okay? Let me see, the last question, how do I support the children who live in the home where domestic violence is occurring?
Yeah, again, it really goes back to that support, being a resource for that child so that they know that they can come to you, that they can give you the information. If you're aware of a crime that's happening, like if you're aware of that, and you're worried about the safety of this child to that extent, then I would encourage all law enforcement so that they can properly address the circumstance. But you won't know that fully if that child doesn't know that they can come to you and give you the information that you need so that you can decide, like, all right, I got all this information from this child. He's saying this or that, or he or she is saying this or that happened, or they're saying this or that happened, or is happening on a continuous basis. I need to take this information, call Durham Crisis Response Center to see what needs to happen next, or what actions I should take, or safety plan with them. And our advocates will work with you to sort through those situations. It's really important that also everyone knows that you're not alone in this. This isn't something that you have to, in that moment, figure out everything on your own. How can I help? What do I need to do? So I don't want y'all to take away from this and be like, all right, I know exactly what I need to do. You have resources. We don't just answer calls for individuals currently experiencing domestic violence. We take calls from individuals who are just calling about their friend or their loved one that they think is going through this circumstance. Sometimes we call people, people call our hotline and we tell them, like, yeah, that's not domestic violence. This, he's just a little clean. Those things happen, but you have to know that you have somebody that a resource where you can talk through things, and not feel that pressure of like, yeah, I have to save this person all on my own. That's the importance of Durham Crisis Response Center. We're here for the community at large.
And I just want to put in a tidbit that we've been partners with the Durham Crisis Response Center since the inception of Women's Health Awareness, and we thank you all for being great partners and willing to have these conversations. Just a couple of more questions. Lene, do we have time for one or two more questions?
Yes, we do.
Okay. This is an interesting one. What are the resources for abusers in recovery?
Jail.
Okay, Mr. Talley.
No, one of the things that I'm looking currently at DCRC, we don't have any resources available. What I am looking into, again, I've only been here for 8 months, is support groups for former batterers. I think it's important to me to recognize that you can't really truly address the problem of domestic violence without addressing and in many ways supporting the abusers themselves. If we want them to be better, then we have to give them the resources to be better. So giving those the supports of understanding, like, again, it could come from a circumstance of this is what you saw growing up. So this is what you understand. Like, I saw my dad do this. I saw my granddad do this. My mom. So I was joking about jail, but this is just real life. They have to be able to see and be given the opportunities to grow from the circumstances that they come from. So it's imperative for me as the executive director of DCRC to try to make that impact and do even current batterers, like individuals who are in jail. I would love to have a batterers intervention program here at DCRC. Currently, we don't have that, but I feel like that would be extremely impactful for the court system, for individuals who are trying to be better in many ways. And I would love to spearhead that. We don't have that yet, but those are things that I do think are important.
I think that would be a great program to have. Yes. So, Mr. Talley, can you talk about how we can help someone make a plan to leave the situation,
Well,
especially if they are ready and not sure what steps to take?
Well, again, I think a safety plan is all it is. I want to make it deeper than what it is. A safety plan is a personalized plan to protect yourself. So it doesn't have to be anything insane. It's just you working with them. And of course, again, you can call the crisis line. It's important that you know you can call the crisis line, and we, our trained advocates, will help safety plan with them. But a safety plan, like I said, is just a personalized plan for protecting yourself. Oftentimes, it's just a matter of step by step working out the most simple things. So you say you're ready to leave, make sure you get your important papers, Social Security card, ID, birth certificate, car insurance information. You wouldn't believe how many abusers hide that information just to keep control of, make sure you can't leave. You can't go get a hotel without an ID. So, making sure you have those things in a safe place. If you're in the home and you find yourself cornered, you want to make sure you stay out of it. These are just examples. I don't want to say this is the safety plan that you need to go to. Like if you're in a bathroom, if you're in a house, for example, you want to stay out of tight corners. Like you want to stay out of bathrooms because there's not a lot of, usually, I don't know how big y'all's house is. All my bathroom, not huge like that. Stay out of small spaces. So that you won't find yourself cornered and whatnot. You can move and maneuver like you want to. Making sure that your phone is fully charged. Those things all are important components of effective safety plan. Those are just examples. But of course, again, you can call during crisis response center and we'll be happy to help your safety plan through whatever circumstance, because every safety plan is different and specialized and personalized for the individual call.
Yes. If you suspect someone is being abused, what are some ways you could reach out to them without coming out and saying something?
If you don't feel comfortable talking about it, you probably shouldn't talk about it. I think, and I say that earnestly, if I think the importance of a real conversation is being direct. You can be direct without being judgmental. I think, like for example, if my friend, I have a lot of friend girls and whatnot. If I noticed one of my friend girl had bruises on and whatnot, there's no real way to address that without addressing what you see or what you have noticed or what you are feeling and whatnot. If you can't tell your friend, hey, we used to talk all the time, and then all of a sudden when you started dating such and such, it almost stopped completely. Or when I do see you, you're constantly wearing these dark glasses at night and whatnot, and I just wanted I noticed these bruises and I wanted to see what was going on and how I can support you. You have to be able to have those conversations if you're willing. I'm not saying put yourself in that position, but you can't really play with like you either gonna talk about it or not. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that so I was a trainer in mental health first aid. And so I think they say be direct.
Right.
If you really want to help, be direct. Be careful in your direction and how you present it, but just be direct. Just say, I've noticed some things, let me know. I'm here for you if something is going on, just, but be direct. It could save somebody's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Mr. Talley. This has been a great conversation, a great Q&A session. And so we just thank you, and just want to put out there again, the Durham Crisis Response Center. Would you mind putting your telephone information up so that we can here at the end show that once again for people, because it's important for people to know you're there and that you can help, and that even if you're trying to help someone else, to also call to get help. So the DCRC crisis line, 919-403-6562. And the Durham Family Justice Center.
The Durham Family Justice. Yeah, the Durham Family Justice. The Durham Family Justice Center, and people get confused by it. The Durham Family Justice Center is the building where all of DCRC's programs outside of shelter are located. We provide case management by appointment. We provide counseling. We offer DBPOs here. Our crisis line is operated out of here. Yeah, all those things. The sheriff's office, which I'm currently in, is another resource when they're available. They're kind of short-staffed too, so they're not always there. But legal aid has an office on the other side of the building. Yeah. So that place is 101 East Morgan, Durham, North Carolina, 27701. The phone number to the Durham Family Justice Center directly is 984-201-7305. The email address, I don't know how that happened, but it's www.thedcrc.org. I had left out the, I'm sorry.
Okay, say that one more time.
www.thedcrc.org.
Thank you so much, Mr. Talley. I'm going to share my screen.
Stop.
Takes me a minute sometime to get that up. So am I sharing the domestic violence resources? Do you see them?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So I would like to remind everybody that we always try to bring you all resources. And so tonight we have the domestic violence resources, and they are available and located on the Women's Health Awareness website, and they'll be there in the near future. But also, I believe for this session, and probably this session only, if you do your evaluations and we have a way to send you information, we will send you the domestic violence resources list to you directly. So make sure that you either do your evaluations so you can receive the resources, or go to the Women's Health Awareness resource page. Yes, sir, Mr. Talley.
Before you send those out, I have one change. I thought I said it earlier and whatnot. That's my fault. About our address, like we have a different address currently, and we don't have the Spanish line anymore. We have all of this merged into one line. So we just hired bilingual staff.
Oh, that's a wonderful addition.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for letting us know that, Mr. Talley.
Thank you very much.
I meant to say it earlier. I thought because you asked me to review it and I did, and I was like, oh, let me tell them, and then I totally forgot. That's my fault. I apologize.
Yes. So we will make sure that we hear from you first before we send it out or put it on the website. Immediately after the webinar, evaluations will be sent through email. For attending the webinar and completing the evaluation, you will receive educational contact credit hours for your participation. And for those of you who completed the evaluation and signed up to be a part of the raffle, the winner will be announced during our November webinar. And I just wanted to close, before we leave today, that to give awareness that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well. And we didn't want to leave tonight without paying tribute to all the many lives and the families this disease affects. We bring awareness to breast cancer survivors across the world and those who have lost the fight due to this disease. Breast cancer prevention and early detection are essential. It is our duty, ladies, to take care of ourselves. We can do this by managing stress, maintaining a healthy weight, performing monthly self-breast exams, and if you are of age or have familial risk for breast cancer, please schedule your annual mammograms. For guidance on self-breast awareness and how to accurately perform self-breast exams, please go to the Women's Health Awareness website or take a picture of this QR code. This will take you to the WHA Strive to Thrive video series. Scroll down to the self-breast awareness video. I want to remind everyone about the 10th annual Women's Health Awareness Women Wellness Conference. So please save this date on your calendars. As tonight is the first webinar, we wanted to talk about the save the date. Registration will open on January 3rd. The event will be on April 13th, 2024. And this time it's at a new location. It will be at Hillside High School. We will have more room, more space to do our programming. And we're just excited to be just down the street from North Carolina Central University in a central location at Hillside High School. So save the date, Saturday, April 13th, 2024. The celebrating 10 years of women's health awareness on that day. Thank you for joining us this evening for this very important webinar, Overcoming Domestic Violence, Understanding the Impact while Navigating the System. We hope tonight's session was informative and the information you received will help enhance your life. As always, thank you for your continued support and attendance. Have a great evening. Be well, stay safe, and good night.